When you approach $1 billion in revenue, your problems are going to be very different, and the ERP needs are equally different as well. So, what are the ERP systems that are fit for large companies in 2023? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. So, let's dive in. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta, and I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients when they are taking the large digital transformation as well as the ERP initiatives with planning as well as implementation. So, before we look at the list, let's first discuss what is a large company and how is the large company defined. Typically, these companies are going to be approaching roughly $1 billion in revenue, anything $1 billion plus. They are probably going to be operating in multiple countries. If they are publicly listed, then their needs are going to be very different as well. Typically, they are going to have more than 1,000 employees, and the financial controls, the requirements for financial controls are going to be very different from any other smaller and mid-size organization. So that's the definition of large company. To compile this list, we look at several different factors. We look at market share, we look at quality of code, we look at their roadmap, we review the communities, how big the product share is, what is going to be their acquisition strategies. So these are some of the variables that are critical for us in compiling this list. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is going to be either Workday or Financial Force. And the reason why they share the spot at number 10, they are not necessarily an ERP system, but they are used together to form the ERP. They are probably going to have the pre-baked integration. So that's why they have sort of a tie at number 10. In 2022 as well, we had Workday Financial Force on the same spot. So there is no change there in the ranking. Now, if you look at the Workday product, Workday started as the HCM product for the verticals which are going to be very heavy on Salesforce. So these are verticals such as your tech, media, telecom, banking, and financial services. That's where Workday does really well. The biggest distinction in this is going to be whether the industry has a lot of white collar workers or blue collar workers. The HCM needs for white collar workers is going to be very different than your blue collar workers in general. The way the functionality works from the union capabilities and Workday started as that. They have developed their financial capabilities. They don't necessarily have the operational capabilities for any of the product centric organization. It's a very service centric organization product. Sure, some product centric companies are going to utilize Workday either only for HCM, they might utilize it for financial planning as well. But for the most part, when you look at the core ERP needs, Workday is not really targeted there. Financial Force is the product that has very deep financial capabilities as well as the PSA capabilities. And typically, PSA is going to be important in very project centric and billing centric organizations. These are going to be very consulting centric organizations, and that is also a patch where Workday, Salesforce, and Financial Force, they are going to be installed together. So Financial Force is going to have very deep financial capabilities that may not be available in Workday as of today, and that's why Workday and Financial Force are used in conjunction along with Salesforce to form that ERP, especially for tech, media, and consulting businesses. Now, the strength for Financial Force Workday is going to be the ecosystem. The ecosystem is going to be as big as your SAP or Salesforce or Microsoft. So that's a great strength for Workday or Financial Force. Even though you are not going to have as deep operational capabilities, the consultants that are going to be consulting in this particular space are going to be very seasoned in general. These are the best of breeds apps designed for the enterprise workloads, and the needs of these enterprises are going to be very different from your plain vanilla mid-market or the smaller organizations. And the global capabilities are going to be extremely deep with Workday or Financial Force. So this is going to be a best of breed solution for very global large organizations that can afford to integrate. They might have their own COE as well as the IT organizations to be able to do the integration internally. Now, the weakness for Workday or Financial Force is going to be it's not a complete ERP solution. So that's a huge minus, especially for product centric organizations that are going to be MRP heavy. It's not really designed for those organizations. The large spend with integration is given. So that's why only the large organizations that can afford the integration and might require the best of breed capabilities for each specific function or the department. That's where the Workday or Financial Force is going to shine. But the implementation and technical risk is always going to be there when you are going to be doing heavy lifting from the integration perspective. Having said that, Workday and Financial Force is still a very strong combination for large companies, and that's why they rank at number 10 on our list. Now, number 9 on our list is the product called QAT. Last year we had Info Cloud Suite M3 or LN at number 9. So a little bit of change there in ranking. QAD targets the upper mid-market, automotive, food and beverage centric organizations. And the strength of QAD is going to be it's going to have a lot more pre-baked integration. So you don't have to invest as much in doing the integration. QAD is especially strong with the supply chain capabilities. And sometimes these supply chain solutions can be very deep as well. For example, let's say if you talk about Blue Yonder, or you consider solutions such as O9 solutions, some of these supply chain solutions are going to be very deep in the supply chain planning capabilities as well as network planning. So those capabilities might be available by out of the box, pre-integrated as part of QAD. But some organizations may not like to use the ERP provided supply chain capabilities, and they might want to utilize the best of breed. So it's really going to be the architecture in terms of how you want to design which capabilities are going to reside and which system will decide that is going to have the highest ROI as well as the lowest TCO for you. The strength for QAD is going to be the deeper international trade and TMS capabilities. So since it is designed for those large global organizations where you are going to have restrictions at the product level, which product can you sell in which country and what are going to be restrictions, sometimes that functionality can have very heavier lift. And if you require those capabilities, if you are a very internationally operated organization, even if you might have, let's say, just 2 entities, sometimes that capability could be very meaningful, because building that on top of your vanilla ERP could fire back. Now, the other strength for QAD is going to be global capabilities. It's localized and globalized in a lot of countries. So if you're going to be $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion organization, QAD may be a great alternative for some of the large solutions such as the SAP S/4HANA, because you don't have to invest as much with integration. The weakness with QAD is going to be it's a legacy backend technology. So the technology is not going to be as great, even though they have provided very appealing cloud native UI. So when you are going to be looking at the demo is going to look really good. But when you require deeper customizations, the ecosystem is not as strong either. So integrations are not going to be available with QAD, as well as when you are going to require any sort of deeper customizations that might not be available through the QAD UI itself. That's where you might struggle because of the technology and the infrastructure that it is hosted on. It is not all of its code base is not hosted on the mainstream cloud providers. And again, with the smaller infrastructure providers, there's going to be a little bit of risk overall in terms of downtime, the disruptions, as well as business continuity. So that is the risk that you need to keep in mind if you're considering QAD. Having said that, QAD is still a very strong product for larger organizations, and that's why it ranks at number 9 on our list. Number 8 on our list is the product called Info Cloud Suite M3 LN. Last year we had Unit 4 at number 8, so a little bit of change there. Info Cloud Suite M3 and LN are very unique product, designed for very specific micro verticals. They are purpose built and purpose integrated as well for those patches. So when you are talking about very heavier integrations, for example, PLM, the supply chain solutions, WFM, WMS, all of those are going to be pre-integrated using the Infor OS layer, if you went with some other products, they are not going to have as deep pre-integrated, owned and managed by OEM. So that's where Infor Cloud Suite M3 as well as LN can provide a lot more out of the box, and it can reduce your implementation as well as technical risk. The strength for Infor Cloud Suite M3 and LN is going to be it's a great alternative for SAP S4HANA as well as Oracle Cloud ERP. The best of breed capabilities are going to be pre-integrated, and the micro vertical capabilities are going to be there with Infor Cloud Suite M3 as well as LN. Now, the weakness for Infor Cloud Suite M3, LN, when you look at the larger organization, they are probably going to be very deep into the M&A activities. Sometimes they might not forecast what is going to be their business model in the next 5 years. They are going to be very diverse. Sometimes they might have construction, manufacturing, distribution, field service, so many different business models bundled as part of the same holding sort of company. And that's where Infor Cloud Suite in M3 and LN might struggle overall in terms of the agility of your organization in terms of what you want to do. But then that comes at the benefit of the operational capabilities because you are reducing the technical and implementation risk. So depending upon what kind of organization you are, Infor Cloud Suite and M3 can provide great value. The UX experience is not going to be as modern as some of the other cloud native solutions. The UX is going to be slightly more legacy. You are probably going to struggle with features such as universal search. So the training time may be higher, but overall, when you compare this with the capabilities and the technical risk of the implementation, this is still a great product for larger companies. The ecosystem is going to be limited as well. Having said that, Infor Cloud Suite in M3 and LN are very strong product, especially for the specific manufacturing verticals, and that's why it ranks at number 8 on our list. Now, number 7 on our list is the product called Sage X3. Last year we had Sage X3 as well, so no changes there. Sage X3 is a product that targets process-centric organizations, and these are very large organizations, and Sage X3 can work really well anywhere from your 500 million to roughly a $3 billion in revenue. The advantage for Sage X3 is going to be very similar with some of the other industry specific product. That is going to be, it's going to have very micro vertical functionality as well as ecosystem for companies such as pharma and agriculture. And if you are going to be very public and audit centric organization, the CFOs are going to love the Sage X3 product because the financial capabilities are going to be as deep as some of the other vanilla solution, but then you are also going to get the operational capabilities for the pharma and food centric verticals. The weaknesses for Sage X3 is going to be the talent and the ecosystem is not there. It's not going to be as diverse, and the integration through marketplaces, you are not going to find as many integrations that you can find with some of the other products on this list. Having said that, Sage X3 is very strong product for large companies in 2023, and that's why it ranks at number 7 on our list. Now, number 6 on our list is the product called Unit 4. Last year we had QAD at number 6. So a little bit of a change there. Unit 4 is a product that targets large public sector centric organizations, universities, schools. It's going to have very deep operational capabilities for those organizations. It's also going to have a lot of pre-baked integrations. For example, HCM procurement, P2P centric integrations pre-baked as part of Unit 4 solution. The strength for Unit 4 is going to be the public sector and university operational functionality is going to be there, as well as it's going to be a great alternative for the larger solutions. The weakness for Unit 4 is going to be its ecosystem as well as the North American presence. It's really limited at this point of time. It's primarily installed in the Europe geography. So if you are in Europe, primarily doing business in Europe, or you are a European company with limited presence in North America, this could be a great solution. But they are penetrating heavily in the North America as well. It's not as diverse as some of the other solution because it's a focus solution. So you have the benefit of focus solution, but you are not going to have benefit of the diverse solution. So depending upon business model as well as architecture, you need to decide what is going to be beneficial for you. Having said that, Unit 4 is still a very strong solution for large companies, and that's why it ranks at number 6 on our list. Now, number 5 on our list is the product called Dell Tech. Last year, we had IFS at number 5. So some changes there. Dell Tech targets the large government contractor as well as construction and the project centric verticals. They are also going to be prevalent in the architectural firms. The strength for Dell Tech is that it is going to have the micro vertical functionality for government contractors that will require significant development as well as configuration time on top of the vanilla solution. It's also have been successful with some of the very large consulting organizations. The reason for that is because it's not going to have as much transaction volume in general in the service centric verticals as your product centric, which are going to be really heavy in the MRP verticals. So these spaces don't really require as much heavy lifting that you will need in the product centric verticals. That's why Dell Tech has been successful with very, very large global organizations, especially in the government contractor space. It's going to be ideal for companies that are going to be heavy in the project management space, and the multi-entity capabilities are going to be very strong as well. The weaknesses for Dell Tech is that it's not going to be as strong with manufacturing. So let's say if you're a government contractor and also does a little bit of manufacturing, that may be okay. But let's say if your core business is really manufacturing, but you are selling both in the government contractor as well as government space as well as the commercial space, then you might want to consider some of the manufacturing as opposed to considering Dell Tech. The other limitations with Dell Tech, it's also a very focused solution. So it's not going to be as diverse as some of the other products on this list, and the CRM capabilities are going to be extremely weak as well. Having said that, Dell Tech is still a very strong solution for large companies, and that's why it ranks at number 5 on our list. Now, number 4 on our list is the solution called IFS. And last year we had Dell Tech at this spot. So some changes there. IFS is a solution that targets the oil and gas, energy, the patches that are going to be really strong with the field service capabilities as well as the asset management. So those are some of the verticals IFS really shines. IFS is very strong for companies that are going to have very deep field services needs, when you are going to have, let's say, hundreds and thousands of employees that are going to be doing the field service. So sometimes your accounting capabilities are not going to be as strong, especially if you are going to be really strong in the field service component, but don't require as deep financial capabilities. That's where IFS can really shine. So the strength for IFS is that great fit for MRO as well as project centric organizations. It's going to have really deep capabilities for field service, EAM, as well as the UX is going to be very cloud native that you're not going to find with some of the other solutions. The weakness for IFS is that it's going to have the limited North American presence. Right now, the ecosystem is very limited in North America as well. It does not have as many partners, as well as the integrations are going to be very limited. And it's not going to be as diverse for the large complex business models, especially if you're going to be active in the M&A activity where you cannot forecast your to-be business model. That's where IFS could be challenging, because you might run out of options if your business model changes substantially. Having said that, IFS is still a very strong solution, and that's why it ranks at number 4 on our Number 3 on our list is the solution called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Last year, also, we had Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is really strong when you are looking for an ERP solution that is going to be very diverse, global, can be installed in supporting many different business models. Whether you talk about manufacturing, distribution, construction, project centric, service centric organizations, all of that can be hosted as part of the same solution. It's also going to have the best of breed CRM as well as field service capabilities. So sometimes that can reduce your training time, especially since that is going to be pre-integrated. So you don't really require as much training time on sales as well as field service. So that's a huge plus for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. The other plus for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is going to be the TMS capabilities are going to be embedded as well as integrated as part of the core solution. Now, depending upon your preferences for the architecture, what you are trying to accomplish, if you require your TMS capabilities to be separate from your ERP system, in certain patches, the architecture will command that you need to have those CMS and WMS capabilities separate from your ERP system. Then Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and operations may not be as fit because you need to integrate that with the third party WMS TMS system. So you are going to be spending a lot in the integration, and there are other solutions in the market that can provide the best of breed integrations pre-baked. So that's where you need to do a lot of analysis in finding out, okay, which is going to have the highest ROI for you. The other strength for Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and operations is going to be, it's probably one of the strongest product for product centric organizations, especially in the cloud at this point. The other solutions are not going to have as deep operational capabilities in the cloud. They might have an on-prem, but it is probably the strongest solution for product centric. The UX and the pre-integrated CRM and field service, as I mentioned, is a huge plus for Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and operations. The weakness for Microsoft Dynamics 365 finance and operations is going to be if you're a very large, complex finance organization where traceability is probably going to be the most important, where you have very collaborative workflows, the data sharing between different entities. Financial traceability may not be as great overall with Microsoft Dynamics because it's a very technical solution. So from the technical perspective for developers, it's going to be great, but for a CFO or finance folks, it may not be the best fit. The scalability of MRP runs for Fortune 50, Fortune 100 companies, since it does not have as strong data backing as your SAP S4HANA, it might struggle in those patches. So upper mid-market segment, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation could be a great solution, but not for very large companies where your possibility could be either SAP or Oracle. The last mile capabilities are not going to be as strong as compared to some of the other focused solutions on this list, but there is always going to be pros and cons, whether you are looking for slightly more diverse solution or the focus solution. Having said that, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations is still a very strong solution, and that's why it ranks at number 3 on our list. Now, number 2 on our list is the product called Oracle ERP Cloud. Last year, we had the same ranking for this solution. No changes there. Oracle ERP Cloud is a very strong solution for service-centric vertical. It's really strong in the finance and accounting capabilities for financially regulated organizations. It does not have as strong capabilities for the product-centric organizations. So if you are using it mainly for your finance and accounting, financial reporting, Oracle ERP Cloud is a great solution, but then you will have to either use the best of breed solution you need to integrate. So depending upon your architecture preferences, business model, Oracle ERP Cloud could be a great solution. The strength for Oracle ERP Cloud is that it's going to be ideal for service-centric organizations, not so much for the product-centric organizations. And these service-centric organizations are going to be banking, financial services, telco, tech, media, publishing, oil and gas, energy, construction. Probably those are some of the patches that are going to be a great fit for Oracle ERP Cloud, not necessarily the manufacturing, distribution, retail. Retail could be okay as well because retail uses the supply chain products and then they typically use ERP only for the accounting. So in those patches, it could be a great fit. Now, the other strength for Oracle ERP Cloud is going to be the HCM. The HCM solution is very strong, especially for the white collar segment. So if you're using Oracle HCM and your HCM processes need to be embedded as part of your ERP processes, that's where Oracle ERP Cloud is really going to shine. The financials are very strong, as well as if you are a regulated industry, public centric organization where you require a lot of different traceability as well as you are going to be regulated and the financial reporting is going to be very complex. That's where Oracle ERP Cloud is really shines. The weakness for Oracle ERP Cloud will be that it might not scale for the MRP runs for Fortune 500 organizations. It's not really designed for product-centric organizations which are going to have very deep layers of bombs. So it might struggle with the MRP runs of those organizations. So if you're using Oracle only for financial reporting and using another operational software at the subsidiary level or at the plant level, then that's a different case. But if you're hosting everything as part of one ERP system, Oracle ERP Cloud Master. The limited last mile capabilities for the product centric organizations are not really designed for companies with these smaller IT budgets. So you need to have millions and millions of dollars in IT budgets before you can consider Oracle ERP Cloud as your solution. Otherwise, you are better off going with some of the other pre-integrated focused solution that can provide far higher value overall from the suite perspective. Having said that, Oracle ERP Cloud is still a very strong solution for the larger companies, and that's why it ranks at number 2 on our list for this year. Now, number 1 on our list is the solution called SAP S/4HANA. Last year also we had SAP S/4HANA on this list. Now, SAP S/4HANA targets the product-centric organizations that are going to require the best of breed capabilities from the WMS perspective, from TMS perspective, as well as it's going to be pre-integrated with HCM that is going to be success factors. So SAP can provide a lot overall with respect to the best of breed capabilities, and that is going to be pre-integrated as part of the same solution. The other advantage with SAP S/4HANA is going to be it's really designed for those large, complex organizations where you are going to require the MRP runs for very, very, very complex organizations and the financial reporting for very large publicly traded organizations. That's where SAP S/4HANA really shines. So its strength is going to be it's ideal for the product centric organizations. The best of breed solutions that are going to be pre-integrated as part of your SAP is going to be a great fit overall, just because it can sort of decouple the workload. But then you also have the HANA capabilities that are going to be part of the solution as well. So that's why it does really well overall in the Fortune 1000, Fortune 500, as well as Fortune 50 space. The weakness for SAP S/4HANA is that the last mile capabilities are not going to be as strong as some of the other solutions on this list, and it's going to be behind in cloud and limited last mile capabilities for product centric organizations. The last mile capabilities are not going to be as prevalent as some of the other focus solution. Having said that, SAP S/4HANA is still a very strong solution for large organizations, and that's why it ranks at number 1 on our. Now, if you enjoyed this video, we are going to include the link of a detailed article that is going to have deeper analysis. So check that out. If you enjoyed this video, we publish these videos on a weekly basis. So hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, the audio version of this podcast called WBS Rocks is available on Apple, Spotify, Google. So hit the subscribe button there. And if you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2023, it covers these lists as well as some of the best practices if you're considering digital transformation or ERP initiatives. So check that out. On that note, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.